Good morning, good people. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to FYI. We're so happy that you guys have dropped by. Pull up a cup of coffee, pull up a cup of tea, pull up a cup of coffee, tea, Milo tea. I got some porridge at my end, guys. Some lovely porridge. You all know how we do it. Porridge. Pull up a cup of porridge if you can. Pull up a chair. Let's talk a couple of things. Good to have you folks here. And as you come on, we encourage you guys all the time to share the live, smash that emoji button for us, and let's do what we got to do, good folks. Lots of information to share with you guys this morning. Lots of information to share with you, good people. Good to have each and every one of you. Some of y'all came very, very early today. Beatrice Selby, of course. Yvonne Daly. Is it Daly or Dali? Good to have you guys here. We're going to make sure that we share at our end, and we're going to make sure we smash that emoji button as well for you good, lovely people. I want to say thanks to all the folks who've been kind and gracious to me on this journey overseas, guys. I want to say thank you to all of them. Yep. Big thank you to you folks. Yep. Good to have each and every one of you here with us. And thank you guys for making the trip so special. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much. Respect and manners. Y'all know how we do it. Share the live, smash that emoji button, guys, and let's have a go at it. Good to see each and every one of you. And but look how you guys coming on by the droves. Good to have you folks. We're gonna share the live. We're gonna smash that emoji button as well. And forgive us if everything don't click. You all know we not all in studio, not all in one place this week, and lots of moving parts to the production. But please forgive us in advance. In advance. Forgive us in advance. Good to have you guys here nonetheless. And of course, we are sharing to Twitter and sharing to Facebook. We're sharing to YouTube and all the other places. And some folks we're about to be patched through to some other pages and some other places. And really good having all of you guys here with us. It's Friday, guys, the 30th day of September. September is gone. Believe it or not, it is gone. And there's nothing we can do about it. All we gotta do now is plan for October, tweak the plans you're bringing forward from September. You know, like the rollover data, the rollover plans. We're tweaking them and we moving forward, guys. It's October. You see the place out getting dark. You know why? Coming on to Christmas. It's coming on to Christmas, good folks, and we're so happy that you guys are here with us. Beryl Crawford is here with us, and Sandra D'Souza, Joe Max Hardy is here with us. Ayabo Natasha Congraves and Gilali Cock is here with us. Joel Ward is here with us too. We're so happy. Sandra D'Souza is here too. John Jones, Mr. John Jones. Let me say it right. Want to say big shout out to Warren Figuera. Warren joins us from Long Island. I think Warren is in the Congo currently. I think he's in the Congo currently. Very busy. Warren Figuera from Long Island to the Congo, a long way from home. Karen Black is here with us this morning. And believe it or not, Warren is still tuning in. So dare say we have folks on the Congos tuning in this morning. I see Rhonda Ferguson is here. Claire Alexis Chamley Richmond is here. Maville Schultz is here with us as well. Michaela Andrews Coates. And good to have you guys here with us today, folks. It's a wonderful day. It's bright and sunny outside. I don't know what the weather is like where you folks are, but let me give you guys a sense of what the weather is like where we are this morning. And they're telling us here, you all know we always revert to our favorite site for weather information, and that's weather.com, folks. And a very good morning to all the folks who are now joining us, now waking up, now tuning in. Where we are, folks, where we are, they're telling us it's 26 degrees outside with a 72% chance it's going to rain. Yep, that's what they're telling us here. And we want credible and valid weather reporting. Credible and valid weather reporting, guys. All right, let me make sure we have it right. Yep. That's it, good folks. Welcome. As we said, pull up a cup of something with us. It's pretty humid where we are. 28 degrees outside. Yep, 28 degrees outside. Good to have you folks here with us. Wherever you're joining us from around the world, Beatrice is here, and I see Yolanda Thomas is here. Veronica Simon Nurse is here as well. Desiree Manuel has joined us too, and Edward Brooms. I see Armin Prasad rather is here. He says it's chilly. It's a chilly 7 in Toronto. Yep. How are you managing that? A chilly 7 in Toronto. And then we have Patricia Asana is here. Eileen Griffith Norton is here as well. Ayabo Natasha Congreves is here too, and we see Joy Koja has joined the live as well, guys. We're so happy that hundreds of you have already joined the live. I see, yep, Eileen Griffith is here, and Ayabo and Joy and Patricia. Guys, welcome to our broadcast this morning. Welcome to our broadcast. Share, smash, do what you gotta do. Welcome to our broadcast. FYI, for your information, we got a couple of things we're gonna share with you folks. Then we're gonna move out of the way so you guys can go ahead and have a great day. You know, your presence, guys, makes the difference here. Afifa Muhammad says, I am here. Afifa Muhammad, respect him. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Afifa Muhammad, respect him. Peter Noble is here. Peter and Candy Naline Inderjit. Candy, how are you doing? Say hi to Marky for us and all the folks in Criverton, Skeldon, Criverton. Say a good morning to each and every one of them for us. And we see Malcolm Marcus is here as well. And Malcolm is joining us all the way, guys, all the way from Region 1. Matthews Ridge in Region 1. We're so happy to have Marcus here. Respected manners, Marcus. And Joel Ward says it's a bright and sunny morning in Babis. A bright and sunny morning in Babis. Guys, let us know how the weather is where you are. I see Yvonne Daly says she's joining us from Ghana. Is it that the Ghana reference? Yvonne Daly. Good to have you, Yvonne. Sharon Alfonso Evans and Candy Linenderjit. I see Audrey Scott. Is it Aubrey Scott, rather? My apologies. Aubrey Scott. JG is here as well. I see Romo Siraj. Romo Siraj. Good to have you. Fantastic. Lovely folks. I see Fitzherbert Jarrett all the way from Connecticut joining us. Fitzherbert Jarrett all the way from Connecticut, folks, in live and living color. We're so privileged to have each and every one of you folks. Share that live. Smash that emoji button. My co-host, Judy Fernandez, is going to join us in a jiffy in a second, folks. And I wish I had a cup of her tea this morning along with this porridge here. You know, Judy, tea hits just the right spot. It slapped real good. Yolanda says share. Y'all follow Yolanda. She says share the live. Good. We love it like that. Please follow what Yolanda is saying. Share the live. Good to have you beautiful folks joining us this morning. Do let us know, guys, what is the weather like where you folks are joining us from. Let us know that. And again, we apologize if all the pieces don't click. I see Morna Storby. Morna Storby joining us from Port Kaituman, Region 1 as well. Thanks for joining, Morna. And I see Pollyanna Schultz is here. Rena Cummins is here as well. Good to have you, Pollyanna and Rena. Good to have all of you beautiful, wonderful folks with us. Yep. Michaela Andrews' quote says it's 50. It's 50 in New Jersey. Yep. Michaela says I done share already. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, beautiful folks, so much. Good to have you guys. Great to have you folks. Good to have you guys. You know, it's remarkable how some people could attempt to be so disrespectful early in the morning. You know, it's remarkable. But we're gonna ignore them otherwise. Not today. Not today, Satan. Not today, devil. Not today. We guarantee we mental health. Not today. Good to have each and every one of you, beautiful, wonderful folks with us. Share the live, smash that emoji button, guys, as we are prepping to start. Good to have you, folks. Candidaline Inderjeet says it's a sunny and bright morning in Curriverton, Canada. Sunny and bright. Mohan Singh says jingle bells. Good morning. Yep. Let's get in there quick because it's coming on to Christmas. Naomi Drucker. Yep, Naomi said it right there. Not today, Sita. Not today. Not today. Come on, Ali. Come back Monday. We can try with you then. Not today. Good to have you folks who are joining us. Lena Williams. If Lena's here, Lynn Finance is somewhere around. Lena Williams, good to see you. Lynn Finance, big shout out to you. I see Winston, good luck. Ethelene Peters. Cheryl Alfonso Evans is here as well. Edward Brooms and Aubrey Scott. Good to have you folks here with us. How are you guys doing? And I know Jude is going to come as soon as she's ready. I know as soon as she's ready, the guys are going to make sure she comes in. Sabitri Zal, how are you doing, Sabitri? All know Sabitri celebrating. All know. Valerie Moriah. Good to see you, Valerie. And Isabella, Margaret Craig, Lena Williams, Lynn Finance. Good to have you. Yep. Share the live, folks. Isabella Butchers has just turned up.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing?
We're fine.
TGIF.
Thanks for asking.
TGIF. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, yes, Shrita.
It's September
Thank God
30th.
it's Friday indeed. Thank God
Last
it's
day
Friday.
of the month. All of the excitement about today is on for me because I'm looking at the calendar and I'm thinking to myself that I don't know if I'm going to be ready when December comes. I don't think I'm going to be ready when December comes, Cheryl. I don't know about anyone else. John Jones and everyone else, as you can be in the Lily and Digit on this morning also. Yolanda Thomas says, good morning, Jared. Good morning to you and all you wonderful people. Cheryl, how is St. Kitts? Naomi is asking you there. I hope it's well.
Fantastic.
You're not excited to come back home?
Very, very much so. Very much so. There is no place like home.
Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. Blessings, Alina Williams. Blessings to you too, Alina. Good morning to you. I see Zetam Clifton Smith on this morning. Says, good morning, brother Sherrod Duncan and sister Joretta. Just be careful.
Amen.
One bulletin is being issued. I'm extremely careful. I keep in my corner. I know my limits. I just don't, you know, we know what we have to do. So,
yeah.
I see Beatrice Selby say, hey, my girl, Joretta, blessed morning. You see, Cheryl, these people missed me this morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I'm happy they do. Yeah, I'm happy. It's such a family.
It's an exciting weekend coming up. I can tell you guys that it's a super exciting weekend coming up. I think that it's a new month. I have so many birthdays coming up in this particular month. A special birthday is coming up this month for us, also for our family. So we're gonna be pretty excited about this particular month. Don't worry, y'all gonna hear about it. I see Ayabo is joining us. Ayabo, Natasha Congree is joining us all the way from the UK this morning. So special good morning to you. I hope all is well at your end. Well, special good afternoon to you. I know it's afternoon at your end. Let me just start from that. I see Marlon Lorma say, Joretta, Miss Sheridan already. Man, you know the thing, right?
All these chairs
empty chairs, you know.
I'm right here.
I see Kylo Tech Clark is saying, I'm home. Kylo Tech Clark, welcome home. I know you celebrated your birthday recently, and I guess you are home after, so I'm glad to see you here. I hope you're safe. Make sure that you remember everything I tell you about the roadways and how crazy it is out there. We want you to be safe every time you go out. Your designated driver, make sure that they're driving slow at the limit. And make sure that they're being extremely cautious. I see Anthony Christian is here also. And I'm happy, happy, happy to have Unika Light with us this morning. Also, we're having a lot of people tapping in this morning. I don't know what's going on,
Res-
Sharon.
Respect and manners.
What's
We
going on?
love it.
It's
We love it.
Friday.
We love
We're
it.
coming through on Friday.
We love it.
So, good morning, Trevor, Patterson. I hope all is well there. Interesting, Henry, of course. I love all you folks there. You know, I come on this morning in the mornings generally, and I want to see everybody on. If I'm not seeing somebody, to tag them, tag them. I'm not seeing Miss Garway here right about no tag her. You Roxanne Garway, where are you? Probably miss her comment. I'm late. I'm late and I'm rowing, Share. This is not good. Wrong and strong.
Accurate. Very
What's
accurate.
going on, Sharon? Sharon, let tell us what's going on at your end.
Oh,
Let
it's
entice us
been a
with
tiring
the
week.
beauty of the year.
It's been a tiring week. It's been lots of moving parts. I've been getting in touch with the politics. Twitter, sometimes we talk on the morning program on FYI about some of the issues happening in the region. But to be where it's happening, we spoke for some weeks about the elections in St. Kitts and Nevis and Dr. Timothy Harris and what was happening there with confidence motion against him, the firing of the ministers and all that. But to be, right there, as a matter of fact, where I am right now is in Dr. Harris's constituency, right?
Wow.
Right now, he's just around the corner. And so to be right there, and to hear how his government collapsed in that stunning fashion and how he lost power, it's quite interesting, to take in Caribbean politics up close and personal. But it's also interesting to be touching base with Guyanese who came out here and made quite a life for themselves, doing extremely well. Lots of our Guyanese brothers and sisters, if not all of them. And we're so happy that they keep our flag flying high, even in the diaspora like this. And we're going to be talking with some of them and perhaps even featuring some on our programs next week. Yeah.
Oh, that's
A
great.
very, a very tiring week. I can't lie. Very tiring week.
You've done the work. Boots on the ground, wherever the
Yeah.
ground is. Wherever
Yeah.
you can find ground, you put boots on the
Yeah.
ground. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy to know that so many persons, and I know that when I was there visiting in Barbados, persons put. I know you guys put a special effort to make sure that you came and to say hello and all of those things, and we appreciate all that a whole lot. Because that's why we come out here. That's why we do what we do every single day. So to keep you informed, and we appreciate it also very much when you show your appreciation as well.
Yeah. 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 Fun times. And then I'm back in Antigua. I spent a couple of days there earlier on this week. I'm back in Antigua over the weekend, and we've been talking with some more Guyanese. Again, even in Antigua, Guyanese have done extremely well. And it's so heartening to see Guyanese uh, living well, to put it
Yeah,
bluntly, or as you would say, altogether. To see Guyanese living well altogether.
nice.
But on all sides, people are very concerned about what is happening back home, and that's what I've been meeting and talking to them about, bringing the issues to them, as Kemrat usually says, making the arguments,
Mm.
and having them know that they are still very, very relevant and needed in this process. I think more people watch us overseas than watch us locally. You know,
Yeah.
I feel so. More people watch us in the diaspora.
But
And let me tell you, um, you know, people in the diaspora are very in touch with what's happening back home, more than even we are. Lots of things happening, and someone says, "Have you seen this? Have you heard that?" And they're in the diaspora,
yeah.
and you write home there, you know all these things happening.
Well,
Very,
I do know that there are arguments out there, that persons no data to support for me, and I'd say that there are persons that say there may very well be more persons living in the diaspora, more Guyanese living in the diaspora as compared to the ones living at home. So that's a bit for us to ponder on a little bit and
correct,
understand why
correct,
we have so many
correct.
persons tuning into these programs and getting information because they crave the information, and that's why we make sure, guys, we always make sure that the information we give to you is credible information. If it's something that we can't verify, we just don't bring it, and we just bring whatever it is being circulating out there, so that and we add the perspective and the conversation to that for you. So we appreciate it. So we want you to share the stream so other persons can get a chance to be a part of this information gathering as well. I
Violet
saw you
Credible.
saying, okay, Sharon, I saw Chising. Henry said just now that Juret, you were always in smiles. Chising, you were absolutely correct. And I think it bothers some people, honestly. Let them always in smiles because I go to war with a smile on my face. Believe it or not, the whole world could be crashing in, and I'll have a smile on my face, and I'll go to war like that. So I don't know. It's just I try to have that upbeat personality as much as I possibly can. Enough, angry faces, gloomy faces around the world. Let me just try to brighten up somebody's morning. I see Deborah Seeley is on with us this morning also. So good
Yeah,
morning,
yeah,
both MPs. Good morning, guys. All right,
yeah.
Sharon, you good to
And
go? Let's go.
Julia, allow me to say, Julia, let me as we begin what's happening in the morning papers, that for those folks who are in St. Kitts, we're going to be meeting tonight at the McKnight Community Center. If we have folks from St. Kitts who are joining us, and I know that we do have quite a few, the McKnight Community Center, we're going to be meeting there this evening for, I think it is 7 o'clock, yeah, 7 p.m. at McKnight Community Center. And for those folks who are in Antigua, Paradise Cafe tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Paradise Cafe, Pickled Small Paradise Cafe. We're going to be meeting there, and the folks tell us the cuisines there are lovely, and I think it's even owned by a Guyanese, if memory serves me correctly. Yep, Paradise Cafe, Pickled Small, St. John's.
All
Julia,
right. See you guys there. All the folks there in St. Kitts, we're gonna see you guys there. Oh goodness, Shar, so much has been happening. I don't know how to get through half of what is going on right now. Yesterday in particular, I had a moment when I was reading the news and I was there soaking in all that's happening there on social media, all that's been said on social media, the news headlines that are circulating and all of that. And it gives me that feeling at that point in time, like what, like this country is nowhere that we want it to be, and there's nothing proud about what is going on, right?
yeah,
There's nothing for us to be proud of
yeah,
what is going on. I was utterly, shocked, disappointed. I was utterly embarrassed by some of the headlines that I saw circulated yesterday, to say the very least. I'm worried, extremely worried and concerned, frightening matters that we're seeing out there right now. We encourage you guys to, just stay informed, because these are things that are not going away. And this is something that I just wanted to just preempt all that we have to discuss today with that bit. I don't know if you feel the same way, Sharon, but I just a different wind hit me yesterday, I guess.
yeah, yeah. It's been I'm borrowing back your word again. It's been an altogether tiring week for me. I can't lie, very tiring week. And then when you faced with some pieces of information and news and so on, oh, Lord, it don't help. It don't help, Julia.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It makes. I understand why people are packing up and just taking their kids and their family and just leaving. I understand their position. When you see things going the way it is, you study if the
Yeah,
if the systems are set up and
if
structured
it makes
for
sense,
for you to fail. Like what are you doing? Yeah,
if it
but we
makes
gotta
sense.
continue to fight. Yes, but as guys, as it relates to the challenge to the allies and non-appointment of the chancellor and the chief justice, we said in November hearing is now set there. I know, Shirley, I'm never the legal person there, but I know that this has been something that we have been bringing a lot of attention to. A lot of conversations have been had
Correct,
around this
correct.
particular issue. So November here,
Correct.
November starts tomorrow, so we should see some sort of action coming out of this, and hopefully in a very progressive way. Hopefully if it's done, hopefully we don't have, what was the guy saying at the level of CCJ, that there's some bit, hopefully we see some bit of urgency. I think that was
Yeah,
the word he was using,
yeah,
some bit of urgency in actually having a
yeah.
finality to this
Justice
matter.
Witt, Justice Witt said
Yes,
that.
you
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
Cheryl, let's
yeah,
leave
yeah.
it to these names and
So
so.
of course, Rita, this comes up in November, as you rightfully said, and it'll be interesting to see because, of course, Mr. Norton, leader of the opposition, who would have to consult with Irfan, or who Irfan would have to consult with on these appointments, has already said he has no issue with Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire and Chancellor Euanette Cummins Edwards holding these substantive posts. So why the delay? And then I saw someone wrote a very long piece outlining the fact that you do not have to get the Judicial Service Commission in place, as Ali's arguing, before you can do these appointments. You don't. You don't.
Correct. That is correct, and I agree with that. So we hope that there's progress moving forward this particular
Yeah.
matter, because
Yeah.
I did note, I'm going to mention it again here right now. We did note that it was none other than Pauline Chase that made some very profound statement when statements when it comes to this particular lack of appointment thus far. So we definitely need to be looking at this a whole lot. There's no excuse. The leader of the opposition has stated his position extremely clear, and the fact that it has to reach the level of court is nothing that we should be proud of once again. But you know what it is, Guyana? It is extremely, extremely difficult to get anything moving that is going to give some sense of independence to systems. That's what's going on there. That's how I see it. I don't know how else I
Yeah.
can look at it. But Transport and Harbor Department, Sherrod, is rolling out an online ferry booking system from tomorrow, they say, for Puerto Rico to Suriname travelers. I
Anything
see
that
that.
saves time and is efficient,
Mm,
we can
I'm
agree
upset.
with.
I want to know the Bartica. I want to know why Bartica, the Puerto to Bartica one is added here. I just want to know why it's just Puerto to Suriname. I'm sorry. Bartica people want this too. Absolutely great. I commend this move. I think that anything that is moving away from paper-based to digital is things that I support. So once I see things going in this direction, I'm going to give my full support to it. So guys, you know how I am. I always tell you if something is being done that is good, I'm going to throw my support behind it. This is something I think is progressive. It's moving forward,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
support it 100%.
Yeah, agreed, 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 agreed. It must work efficiently. As you said, it's a progressive idea, and I'm happy that the
Yeah.
folks down at the Transport Harbors Department have been forward thinking, and this is the way to go.
Yeah.
Um, when we got computers way back when, they say it was going to reduce all of this, but we see a system now that is punctuated with paperwork, right? With paperwork. As parliamentarian, we have gadgets that's afforded to us by the National Assembly to help us to get the work done, but there's still an awful lot of paper that comes with that. We
Yeah,
got computer
ridiculous.
systems, but it's still got to go down at a storefront or at a ministry to get a service. And you got broadband, you got this, you got that, but it isn't helpful the least bit in being efficient in getting the work done, in rolling out the service any more efficiently than it was, years ago. And we gotta. I think there's this fear, just like how we move around with large sums of money from community to community as a government, even as individuals. When you hear people getting robbed 3, 4 million, you wonder why are people carrying all this money, even for a payroll system. You know, any business should be wanting their employees and should be encouraging them to get a bank account and you transfer money in this way. I see in St. Kitts and Nevis, people can buy with bitcoins, go in a supermarket, a storefront, and purchase items with bitcoins. I
Yep.
mean, let me do something, lah, man. Let me do something for myself, lah, man.
Well, believe it or not, one of the things that we can be looking at, and it's I'm trying to pull up the information. I'm not sure if I can get it pulled up in time, but probably before the show is out, I'm going to pull it up for you. But believe it or not, when it comes to reports and the way in which our finances are being dispensed and all of those things, I can tell you that half your report coming out from the Bank of Guyana did say a lot when it comes to the service sector, particularly when it comes to persons' utilization of these money transfer systems. And I know locally, particularly the MMG system, has been increasing. The use of that has been increasing tremendously. The Bank of Guyana report is saying that. So when you look at all of those things, you see people naturally pushing towards this paperless system. Persons don't want to be walking around with paper cash when you can just pick up your phone and just pay your bills and so forth from that. So that's extremely important that we understand the direction in which the world is going, and that we're now playing catch up. So we have to be moving at an accelerated rate in order to catch up to all that is going on right now. So with all of that said and done, I think that all of these services needs to be done digitally, and I commend, I give kudos to the persons that thought about having this thing in place and is actually executing right now. Whatever hiccups come with it, don't let it be a deterrent. Make sure that you just keep strengthening the system as we move forward. It's better for everybody. And guess what? Less corruption, less persons going at Perica and paying a little blight for somebody to keep a space for them. And so I had to say it, I'm sorry, but it's less corruption when you have that system in place. And I see Lola Lancaster Bishop is there with us this morning. There, I think Sherrod's mic is muted. I'm not sure what's going on at his end right now, but he looks a little bit off and a little bit frozen. I seen Warren Figueroa is there with us. Warren put a little bit of lengthy comment there. I'm not sure what is going on at Warren's end, but I'm going to be catching up with you to make sure that all is well at your end, Warren. I did note so. Yes, I'm seeing Sherrod is actually coming back. Well, yes, you are back. You are back in. I am seeing movements at your end, Sherrod Duncan. So,
And we're happy. We did tell the folks we might have some challenges, a lot of moving parts.
yes.
Go right ahead, Rita.
No, but I'm just wrapped up on that bit of commenting because I'm basically saying that I support the system and that's where we should be moving. And the less paper-based system we have, the better we are moving at a system that is not corrupt. The more paper-based the system is, the more avenues you give for corruption altogether. That's just a fact. So we're moving away from that. Thankfully, kudos to Transport and Harbor, and I know that the bishop is some what at the top there. So I give kudos where it is required, and good going on this particular matter. Right. So, and then I have to add in it. I wouldn't be me if I didn't add in at this point. It was under the AP and UAFC administration that we moved excessively when it comes to
Be you, be
technology
you,
and connectivity. So
be you.
let me just throw it out there, and I can't help myself because it's true, it's factual, and I'm glad that persons are actually utilizing all that that was built, the foundation that was built by us.
Correct is right. Correct is right. What else do we have this morning, Rita?
All right. So as we move forward, I'm looking specifically, Alexander. This is Vincent Alexander is accusing GCOM of spreading propaganda, and this is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yesterday I said, Sherrod, that GCOM is getting to a place that it's becoming like a laughing stock because persons are looking at
yeah.
headlines coming out of them, and you just see this. You just have this sense that they're not serious about what they're doing, and it's not a comforting feeling because this is an institution that should be at the helm when it comes to transparency and good
Correct,
oversight and
correct,
accountability and all of
correct.
those things. So when you're seeing all of these things coming out, it gives it leaves much to be desired as to the way in which we look
Yep,
forward to information forthcoming from this institution. I said that only yesterday. So today, to
correct.
see Mr. Alexander now accusing GCOM of spreading and propaganda, that this is a whole new dimension to what I was saying just yesterday.
And we're gonna be talking about this more in the big issue this morning. We were trying to get Mr. Alexander on this morning because we wanted it directly from him what's happening there as a commissioner. We know some of it, what's happening, but we want it directly from him to explain to the guys what's happening. We're gonna still try to get Mr. Alexander. So, Drita, we're gonna be dealing with some of this in the big issue. So, I would say let us hasten forward.
All right, good. So, Sharon, I know this is one that you've been following for a very long time, so I'm going to allow you to just dig into it a whole lot. But it says new management of the Public Service Credit Union shuts down mortgage scheme.
Yeah, this is very sad because you're on the trend. Then they had come up with some very innovative packages to ease the dire straits, the circumstances of public servants. And this was one because the pay down the down payments and then the installments at some commercial institutions are very exorbitant, and the credit union, the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union, I think offers some of the best rates you have on the market. And
Yes,
to
it
see
is the
now,
best.
yeah, and
Hmm.
to see now them rolling back, what's happening here is quite sad. Quite sad to see them rolling back what's happening at the credit union. And this is something that persons were very excited about. The credit union being offering folks loan. And I would ask the folks there to really rethink this move. You got to bring the credit union into the 21st century. And that's what I think Trevor Ben was trying to do with his team there. But now we see things rolling back. Sadly,
Yeah.
quite
You
sadly.
know, the one thing I want to add to this particular move is that I found it extremely unnecessary for this level of action to be taken to say, and we're just reporting that this has been it has been headline here that the new management of the Public Service Credit Union shuts down the mortgage scheme. Now, I understand that in any organization, you move and you tweak and you adjust, you tailor things as you move forward. Whatever challenges that you encounter, you make
Yeah.
sure that you have some kind of remedy to remedy the situation so that you don't get yourself into a position that you can't handle. But for you to just move to a total shutdown of the mortgage scheme, I see an issue with that. It shows like you're out on a different agenda. You're not looking to remedy whatever challenges you may be having with the situation, and that's not okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I think that the system as it's set up there, this is a pretty strong system. But I would start off from that point of view, because in order for persons to actually get a loan from there, they need to have somebody that's a member there that have enough money saved in the system to be co-signing for them as a guarantor and so forth. So there's a good structure in place to make sure that they are not in a position of loss and all of that. But I do believe that what they should have done is sit down and actually come up with a plan so that they can tailor whatever the system is right now, so that they can address any difficulties and challenges that they may have, or that they may see forthcoming, so that they didn't have to move to this rapid, just this abrupt shutdown of it. That's just not okay. I don't see that as being anything that has been thoughtful at all, and I know a lot of persons have put in a lot into depending on that system.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what's happening on that front. We're going to be switching paces and looking at what's brewing internationally, folks, and some of what we want to share with you as pertaining to what's brewing internationally pertains to Russia. Let's start there. We've been trying to keep you guys abreast because that's a fast-paced environment there, and it's being
Oh,
reported that a number of civilians were killed when a convoy came under heavy fire, came under heavy attack, and that's a hole in the ground where an explosion took place. There, you can see in the graphic, and Putin has, of course, proclaimed after that referendum, quote unquote, that the West called a hoax and called bogus and all of that, that these territories that the Russians occupy in Ukraine are Russian territories and have been annexed, for all intents and purposes. But of course, the international community is not recognizing them as part of Russian territory. So that's what we're dealing with at the hour, Trina.
hmm. Well, we did say, guys, we did say that this situation is not going to be getting any better anytime soon, and we did say
Yep.
that, that there's a very lengthy system that we see ahead of us on the horizon when it comes to any solid resolution to the issue there. It may very well get a whole lot worse than that before it gets better, and that's just a sad reality that I am beginning to face every time I'm reading the bits and pieces of the news coming out of that area. We are in a state in this world right about now in which interests are the interests of various world leaders and international powers that be basically seems to be overshadowing the basic human dignity, humanity that persons expect them to defend. So that is a very sad reality that I'm seeing and that we're facing right now. It's very
Yeah, and you
sad.
know what I really want to say? I really want to say to the folks watching us, especially those people we say are people of faith, believe in God and so on, a higher power. Pray for the folks there. It can't be easy. It cannot be easy waking up and going to sleep with bombs dropping all around you and gunfire and all that. It's not easy. We got our own troubles, trials and travails and tribulations, but I'm thankful that we ain't got those kinds of things. I'm grateful for that. Drita?
Yeah, I'm thankful also. We need to get a better position in this world that we put human lives as being priority. That's
Yep,
all I have
yep,
to say
yep,
about that.
yep. And while that is happening, dear Drita, next door, you see this election next door, Drita, it's
Brazil,
heating up. It's heating up.
Brazil.
The Brazilian election, folks, is heating up. I don't know if y'all watching, Godfrey Lane and Laverne Harricher and Kellerman and Ingrid Crawford and Jamor Marcus and all the other guys. I don't know if y'all watching everything that is happening next door, but folks, Lula de Silva he's vowing peace and love. We had a very erratic period under Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro, a very erratic period. Lula is one of the, I shouldn't say one of, was the kind of president who had a peaceful reign in terms of all of this, in comparison to the political turmoil you see now happening in Brazil. He was a very, very popular president, did a lot of good for his country where the economy is concerned, and he wants to make a return. Can he do it? That is the question. Can he do it?
Well, I see it no other way. I said this is gonna be the third day. This is gonna be the third day that I'm saying that I see it. No, I see the results coming out no different. I see that he's going to be announced as the winner. I do see a lot of back and forth after that announcement coming forward because of all that is being said right now. I do note the U.S. their stance on the matter when they're saying that they're going to be quick to recognize the winner of the elections. I do note that the person's that his gap, the margin that he is in the lead with there in the polls, is it has been increasing. So I see it going no other way. But I have to say that he has this is no easy pickings moving forward for him, and there is a lot of repair that needs to be
Yeah.
done, and
Yep.
for him moving forward. And I'm speaking as though he has already won his elections, but for him move, that's how I see it. That's why I'm speaking like this. And for him moving forward, there's a lot of work that will be that will be needed in order to bring a stability, the stability that he wants, a level of calm and focus that he would want in his country.
Yep, yep. So we are watching that, and other things we're watching regionally. A bit of sad news. Let me tell you a bit of sad news because a father accidentally shot his son in Jamaica, Jarida. He thought his son was an intruder, and this young man is a fifth form student. To read the report, the students there at the school, they are broken. They lost a fellow student quite recently to drowning, and so this is coming on the heels of that, and it's quite tragic what is happening there.
Mm. Wow. You know,
Yep.
to accidental. This is one particular matter. Like I have very much of an immense fear when it comes to guns. I'm extremely cautious and careful when it comes to that. So I'm very this is a sad situation altogether, and I have to tell parents, especially particularly parents that have weapons and so forth, make sure that you're extremely careful with your
Yeah.
children, and very extremely careful with those weapons. Also, a lot of people going out there and actually getting licensed to have a gun and so forth, just to have it on show, and that is the most craziness you can ever find. If you don't have a
Yeah.
need for a weapon, then don't have a weapon. A weapon is not
Quite
is not
sad.
a
Quite
it's not
sad.
just an additional piece of jewelry or something that you just have to use,
Yeah.
just have
See,
there for no
he thought it
particular
was an
reason.
intruder, and the
Yeah.
young man was, of course, mistakenly shot. There was a similar incident a couple of
I,
years back in
I did
Jamaica.
I did get that
Yeah.
I get that particular matter there, but I was speaking specifically to
Yeah.
Guyana when I saw a lot of persons just having weapons, just like a piece of
Well,
jewelry,
you
you
know
know.
how we are. Whatever's the latest fad, we gotta be in it. But that being said, Judy, I want to jump through some issues locally where we are because I do want us to
Yes.
spend some time on the GCOM issue and talking about that. So let's talk about what's happening locally, and let's start with the with Gawu, for instance, because Gawu wants a 16% increase for sugar workers, and this is under active discussion. We're being told, you know, what the unions and the public servants there, 16% Gawu wants.
Well,
16%.
God was doing their work when they're asking for that. That's what I can say. The public service union needs to come forward and do their work now. God who's
Mhm.
doing their work when it comes to what they're expected to do. And if they're having active discussions about that, that's on them. You know, we know what's going on over there. We know that they're going to be milking the system to the best of their ability. They're going to be sucking the life out of it if they couldn't do so. That is how it has been going on there. The better question
Yeah,
for us to be asking is,
yeah,
where is the representation coming when it comes to the public servants and those unions that should be representing their interests? I know the Alliance Exchange in particular called for public servants increase to be the negotiations start from baseline of 50%, because in
yeah.
2016 the PPP in opposition then called for 50% increase when we were just at 300 and something $billion as our total budget. Now the budget is almost at $600 billion. We say the baseline should start at 50%. The
Yeah, yeah.
politicians are doing their part. The unions have to do their part. God, who's out there speaking a whole lot of nonsense for something that they know that it's going down the drain, but they're doing their part. Let the public service union also come forward and do its part too. Just
One
have
of
to
the
be a
other issues that,
collective system.
sorry, there. One of the other issues we're following is what's happening with the IMF. Even they're recognizing the rising cost of living here and the subsidies. But of course, this is not a a long term mechanism by which you can govern in terms of combating the rising cost of living by subsidies only, and they're asking for additional things to be done. So it's interesting to see this aspect of the IMF report locally?
Well, Sharon, I know we're rushing forward a little bit right about now to get to the main discussion, and I want us to get there. But this is not a small issue, and I see there. You know, when IMF the IMF has been doing a lot of work, and they've been publishing a lot of reports and a whole lot. We have not been, if I can say, a lot of what the IMF has been saying prior is things that we have been discussing before. This panel will come forward and say that we have discussed these things over and over. I'm trying to pull up this specific report right now, but I'm not getting it open. My tech is not working with me this morning, so I would want us to just move forward a bit whilst I get this particular report pulled up so that I can
Great.
get delve into this information.
Now, this is another issue we spoke about. I mean, we had lots of different opinions, but hits and jams, getting into construction. They said they had the experience. They said they could do it. They had a lot of technical people that were going to be helping them. You know, they were given this contract for the Bamia school. Now, this has been on a standstill for about 2 or 3 months now. Nothing doing at this school in Bamia that they were building, this secondary school, you know, which doesn't argue well for them at all. As I think it's the construction company. The name isn't coming to mind at the moment. Just one of the things we are following. Julia?
Well, they've been having. I see probably a couple of these things. Well, are going to be hitting at our desk there at the Public Accounts Committee, because that's where it inevitably ends up. Because that's where we're going to examine the actual details of these matters. Because a lot of times in the news report, not a lot of times, the majority of the times you just get bits and pieces of the information until it gets to the level of the Public Accounts Committee, where you can properly examine every aspect and detail of it, so that then you can actually order further audits into the system. One of the things that I have been noting, and I have to add it at this point in time, I'm not speaking specifically, let me just say this, I'm not speaking specifically to this particular project, but one of the things that I have been noting is that there's a lot of contractors that have been given works that they cannot handle. They don't have the capacity to handle, so they are just doing bits and pieces. All of their starting works in several different places and just leaving it halfway and all of those things. And I don't know how is it still possible for those persons to still be getting contracts continuously if they don't have the capacity to just complete what they already have. So that's something that I have been monitoring also.
Yeah, yeah. And finally, before we turn our attention to the GCOM issue and what's going on there, I wanna bring your attention to a letter that Mervyn Williams, former member of Parliament, former advisor to the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, um, have in the papers this morning. And in this letter, Mervyn is laying out what is happening in our indigenous communities that seem to have doesn't have the attention of the public. And he's talking specifically about allegations of corruption in lots of these indigenous communities. And we have been tracking them, Drita, whether it's Hururu, whether it's the ones in Moruka, you name it, we've been tracking it. And Marvin writes in today's Starbucks News, for instance, that there are a number of allegations of financial irregularities in many villages. However, in the not so distant past, the focus of the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs was on the establishment of an investigating committees on missions to remove elected officials believed to or known to be supportive of the APNU AFC. So they were in a frolic of their own while ignoring blatant indiscretions of others who are known supporters of the PPP. And his missive in the daily newspapers outlines a number of such infractions, Drita.
This is true. This is all true. I've been receiving information from hinterland communities, and I've been receiving videos. I've been receiving voice notes. I've been receiving so many things from hinterland communities when it comes to these matters. These are not just allegations. These matters are very serious matters that we have been receiving complaints for. I always say, I'm going to say it again right now. There is a perception out there that when the PP administration is in office, they go out there and they give and they take excessively good care, and they butter up and they do all sorts of things in the indigenous communities. And I keep telling people that is not so. That is not so at all. PP is in
Nothing
power.
irregular.
What happens is that people there. I don't know where the perception came from and how it came about, but I can tell you, I'm a living example that is not the case, and that persons living in the hinterland have been suffering for quite some time. They suffer under PP administration. What is worse is that they are muzzled and they don't feel that they are empowered to even speak out about these matters because, oh, somebody can say, remember the time I gave you a bag of rice and so forth. And that is an issue, a real issue that we have to deal with. There are persons in the hinterland locations that are suffering tremendously right now with the people in office, and they have
Yep.
technology have gotten it to a point that persons are understanding that there is a better way and they should not be treated like that. Hence, that's why we're seeing video footage coming out from those community right now of them standing up for themselves and representing their interests, and we're very happy about that. And I think I have to say kudos to Marvin Williams. This is my last bit on that part. Kudos to Marvin Williams. He has been doing quite a lot when it comes to bringing out a lot of the issues to the forefront.
Yep. Indeed. And turning our attention now to the big issue and this need for a review at GCOM, an elections review. You can't have a process you just come out from and one as tumultuous as the last one, and you don't even look back to see what mistakes have been made. That is one of the issues we want to talk about this morning, centrally, as we engage this whole issue of what's going on at GCOM, the shenanigans at GCOM. And we're pleased to have with us this morning GCOM Commissioner, the one and only Mr. Vincent Alexander. Welcome, sir.
Good morning. Well, thank you.
Good morning, Chief. Welcome. I want to pick your brain on a couple of things before we get up to that need for a review of the elections past. One of the early things we were grappling with is the whole continuous registration and in particular the claims and objections. We saw a period that was unfolded for claims and objection, and then it seemed to have been stopped abruptly. Talk to us a little bit about what was going on there.
Well, what occurred, there was a schedule for claims and objections that gave specific dates in relation to when claims would be concluded, when objections would be concluded. And that was gazetted. However, the Secretariat created banners that they mounted outside of the 27 offices across the country. And on those banners, they did not give the specific information in relation to claims and objections, etc. What they did was to give the start date of the exercise, the overall exercise, and the end date of the overall exercise. I did not give the internal dates so that the public would have read those banners and come to the conclusion that the exercise of claims was concluded on the 18th of September, when in fact it was really intended to conclude on the 11th of September. So having read that misleading banner, people turned up on the 12th of September to be told that the exercise had concluded on the 11th. Against that background, I think the APNU AFC wrote to GCOM saying, look, you have disenfranchised people. People cannot go and make a claim, although your information suggested that they could do so up to the 18th. We went into a moment of comatose because rather than address the matter immediately and directly, the chairperson deferred to the PPP. In other words, he said, look, I wouldn't make this determination until I hear from the PPP. This is unprecedented. Normally, we do have extensions, and this has nothing to do with political parties. It simply has to do with whether or not an entitlement has been breached, or whether or not the stats suggest that many people have not been registered, have not registered a claim. She deferred, however, to the PPP, who came back a day or two after to say they had no objections. And therefore, after that, we went back into the drive of reopening claims and objections. I'm not hearing you.
Apologies there. I wanted to ask Mr. Alexander on the issue of employing, is it a deputy CEO or an assistant CEO? An assistant?
An assistant CEO.
I know that the opposition commissioners withheld your approval of that, stating that one of the reasons why they were more qualified persons. Talk to us about that issue and why the PPP and the chairman went in this direction.
Well, in the first instance, the recruitment process was contrived. We advertised, and this is a matter we were dealing with since last year. We had applicants who met the qualifications. However, during the course of things, there was intervention which said that, look, we don't have applicants who meet the requirements, and therefore there's a need to re-advertise. Interestingly, in that process of re-advertising, we got one new applicant who happened to be a retiree of GCOM. And we are of the conviction that the posture of the need to advertise was to facilitate that application, because we saw in the very interviewing process that all of the government nominees, nominated commissioners, showed a preference for that person, and the chairperson eventually also showed a preference for that person. What is interesting about this is, as I said in the first instance, I think the whole scenario was contrived to have that application come in. But we saw that when that application came in, the persons who had previously applied were included in the shortlist, although it had been said that the reason for advertising was that they didn't meet the requirements. That is patently not true. There are persons who met the requirements, and they were eventually included in the process. So when we looked at the comparison among the persons, there is the person who eventually was chosen is by no means superior to the others. So apart from the process being contrived, the person does not naturally stand out against the others. And there's one other element which we noted. The person is a retiree, well past retirement age, and we are of the view that if you're going to build an institution, if you have younger people who are qualified, both in terms of the academic qualifications and the experience, why do you go for someone who's retired and well past the age of retirement? There must be some reason other than institutional development, other than recruiting someone who can take the organization into the future, for you to go for someone who retired and is well past the age of retirement. So that for us, the whole situation was contrived, and we didn't think we can give our support to the recruitment of that particular individual in the circumstance.
Very well. Essentially now to this issue of a review of the 2020 general and regional elections. Why is this so important that GCOM undertakes this kind of activity?
Well, in the first instance, let me say that this is really a routine activity. At the end of each elections, we normally have the CEO submitting a report on the conduct of the elections. And on that basis, we would do a review of what took place and to see areas in which we can improve. We did not have such a review after the 2015 elections, essentially because though the report was prepared, given the petition, it was felt that it would be prejudicial to have that report in the public domain. In the 2020 elections, we have not had a report, and one of the major reasons is that we have fired the CEO. So the person who should prepare the report is not in place. So that the first point I want to make is that such a report is is a re- routine matter, and that provides the opportunity for a review. The second point I want to make is in any circumstance, any organization that is following the best practices would have a process of evaluation at the end of any project, because it is through that process that the organization is able to determine how well it carried out, how well it conducted the activity, and what needs to be done if they're to improve on the performance. So that this is something which should be pretty routine. And in the absence of a report from the CEO, we thought that what we should do is to identify a group of persons to do an independent review of the conduct of the 2020 elections, and that review will provide us with an opportunity to determine if there were lapses, if there were weaknesses in the system, etc., and therefore enable us to be in a position to correct uh, any faults in the system, to close any gaps that there are in the system. Unfortunately, we have been met with a response which says, look, if you're doing this review, you're going to be looking at all these complaints that have come in, and that these complaints are subject to a petition, and therefore you can't uh, entertain such a review. Now, we tabled the motion, and our motion was very specific. Our motion called for a review. It did not call for identification of persons who may have been at fault. It did not call for a determination of whether the results were correct or incorrect. That was not the focus. Those things are the focus of a petition. We called for a determination of if there were apparent flaws in the system, and how those flaws can be can be corrected, so that to argue that we shouldn't have that process because of what the Constitution provides for is misleading. The Constitution provides for a process of adjudication in relation to elections. If there were things that occurred that would have skewed the results, it calls for an adjudication. We are not calling for an adjudication. We are calling for a review. We are not looking at culpability. We are looking at weaknesses. And so it's a misuse of the Constitution to suggest that what we are calling for can only be done under a petition. A petition adjudicates. We have no desire to use that process to adjudicate. Our desire is to use that process to determine, as should routinely be done, if there are weaknesses in the conduct of the elections that should be rectified as a basis for going forward. And even in the instance of a so-called investigation, it should be observed that the court is not the body that does investigations. The court is a body that does adjudication, which is quite different to an investigation. To even suggest that if you were calling for an investigation, that it is outside of the purview of the commission and in the purview of the court, is to suggest that the court investigates, which is patently not true. The court adjudicates. And in fact, what has occurred is that GCOM has made available documents to the Attorney General, who has clearly indicated that what he wants to do is an investigation. So we see double standards. On one hand, GCOM is saying only the court can look at such matters, but the same GCOM has made available to the Attorney General information on a request that says, I want to investigate.
Julia, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I'm listening to Mr. Alexander, and I have been with this process for since 2020. Mr. Alexander, I look to him for a lot of the information because he is so keen, and the clarity that comes with it. And I have to say that I'm following the comment section there, and persons are very thankful for the clarity that you're bringing on this particular matter, because a lot that is being said out there in the press is that it doesn't come with that bit of clarity that you are giving right now. But I did find it, and I have to say this, I did find it ridiculous from where I'm sitting to see the double standard and that is being played out there at GCOM. It's something that is disappointing to say the very least, because as a citizen, particularly, I sit at the level of Parliament, and GCOM is an institution that I would have hoped you can look to for that bit of transparency, and when it comes to the way in which they're doing things, for it to be done in a on a very level playing field, and we're not seeing that, and it gives grave concerns to the citizens of the country to see the way in which things are unfolding there. It is by no means comforting to any ordinary Guyanese to see the way in which things are playing out at GCOM right now. It's worrying. So my biggest question, I guess, should be is like, should we expect to see it going any better? If from where you're sitting, do you see anything getting better, and for it to be for decisions to be made differently moving forward, or should we expect it to actually get worse?
Well, the fact of the matter is that things have not been getting better, and the trend has not been that things should get better. But certainly, we have an obligation to expose what's happening in GCOM, with the hope that the public will be responsive and that the public will join uh, and ensure that the kind of pressures exerted that will cause GCOM to be responsive, so that uh, to a very large extent, we have to continue to be vigilant. We have to continue to make uh, proposals that are constructive, and we have to ensure that uh, that public, which is the main stakeholder in GCOM, is aware, and out of that awareness, raises its voice in a manner that will ensure that GCOM becomes responsive.
Excellent. Excellent. Uh, Miss Alexander,
Sharon,
yeah. Go
no,
ahead.
I just wanted to put emphasis on what Mr. Alexander just said there. The public being the main stakeholder there at GCOM, and that's something that persons need to understand very clearly. A lot of times there's this misdirection when it comes to who really calls the shots. And I can say that once persons realize that we are as citizens are actually in the driving seat of how GCOM acts and operates, and then if we don't stand up collectively and raise our voices, we're going to be seeing things getting worse, as we're all seeing that's where it's going to end up. But we have to stand up collectively as a people. I know this program, we have hundreds of persons looking at us right now. That's the message that needs to be sent out. We have to stand up collectively as a people and put pressure on the system for it to be done right. And when I say pressure, share, we always add that when we talk about putting pressure on the system, we always say do everything that is within your legal parameters to make sure that things are done in a fair and transparent manner.
Correct, correct. Mr. Alexander, on the issue of these names that were submitted, you talked about the double standards. We call it hypocrisy. Them saying you can do an investigation on one hand, but you're supplying information to the Attorney General to do an investigation on the other hand. It's only the court who can do this. That kind of hypocrisy. C.S. Gunraj, a fellow commissioner of yours at GCOM, said to this nation in a press conference he had that all of the names that were supplied by APNU AFC, whether persons would have been dead but yet miraculously voted on August 2nd, or a person would have been out of the jurisdiction and voted on August 2nd, all of those names were sent to the relevant agencies, and that this letter by the chief scrutineer, Carol Smith Joseph, was misguided. And yet we saw recently the chairman of GCOM says that she has sent additional names. Talk
All
to
of
us
the
about that.
names were not sent. What she said is that the names which were submitted before the conclusion of the count were sent, and that those which were submitted immediately after the conclusion were not sent. The APNU AFC has just requested, and that request fortunately has now been granted, that all of the names submitted after the conclusion of the count should also be sent. So the CIS was incorrect, whether it was intentional or otherwise, to say that all of the names had been sent. That is not true. Two lists had been sent to the chief immigration officer. There were many more uh, in number that had not been sent, and those have now been sent. And hopefully, the chief immigration officer will, with the same alacrity that the previous officer dealt with that matter, deal with what's before him so that we can have the information. Because the lists which were sent previously, there was a process of verification, and in two instances, we had about two-thirds of the names on those lists verified to be persons who were out of the country, but for whom votes were cast.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Alexander. I want to turn your attention, finally, to the voting pattern of the chairman. I see some folks say the chairman casts have a casting vote, something of that. But to us, the chairman looks as though you already know where the chairman is going to come down. It's like the opposition commissioners don't bring nothing of weight to bear on the commission, so the chairman could never side with them, could never see fruit in what they are saying, and always votes with the PPP commissioners. That is one. The a part of that question would be, I saw it stated out there that I think it was you or someone else who would have said that the previous chairman seemed to have taken a different and a better position of trying to build consensus among the opposition and the government commissioners appointed, and then allow a decision to emerge from that without taking a side. Talk to us about this new process and this new chairman.
You're quite right. Chairman Suresh Bali's disposition was quite different. Chairman Suresh Bali sought to build consensus. He was an active participant in the discussions that led to decisions. This chairperson is not an active participant. This chairperson behaves judge-like, sits, and actually initially would say to us, I'm going to rule. And so after the sides have had discussions, exchanges, she would so to call rule. Now, there was a particular instance that represented an act of great disrespect. When we were in the course of discussions, the meeting was adjourned. We had another meeting when we convened to continue the discussions. And at the end of those discussions, the chairperson literally lifted a document from her lap and read what was her ruling, which meant that while she had 6 adults, 6 commissioners, 6 constitutional officers in the discourse on the matter, had already written her ruling. It was really disrespectful and an insult to the Constitution and an insult to the commissioners that could have occurred. She does not actively participate in our discussions. She listens and then very often says, well, I will give my ruling. She's now resorted after being admonished to say, I will cast my vote. but the behavior pattern is no different from the granting of a ruling. What Ms. Bali used to do was to be integral to the discussions, to interrogate the views of the commissioners, try to find middle ground and consensus, and left the commission with a record where there was hardly an instance where he had to so-called rule on a matter.
Drita, I'll give you the final word.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Sherrod, for that. But what Ms. Alexander just said to us there, I think just sums it up as
Yeah,
to what we're
yeah,
dealing with as a country right now. Because there is no faith or hope that I can put into a system like that. There is no faith that I'm going to be putting into that system. That a system in which we are a ruling is being made, and then commissioners are being put to sit down and just have discussions. You know what it says to me, Sharon, Mr. Alexander, this is something that I did speak about some programs before. The fact that when an election is had, is not just to say you have an election if you are not putting the systems in place to make sure that you are having a credible election, if you are not putting systems in place to iron out any wrinkle or whatever you may have in the system. And when Mr. Alexander spoke a little earlier, he spoke about the fact that what we're asking for is for the system to actually be reviewed, so that if you had any challenges, that you would put systems in place so that that challenge will not happen again at the next election. When we are seeing people fighting that, we understand where we are heading to any election that is to come. I note a lot of talk. I know we didn't touch on this bit. I note a lot of talk about the local government election, that date not being able to be finalized as yet and all of that.
yeah.
But
That's
I
right. Yeah,
have I have no confidence in the electoral system as is to go into any election. And that is the sad reality of the position I am at right now. And I'm saying this from a position of being physically there at the recount every single day in that tabulation center, witnessing firsthand for myself all of the challenges being identified, all of the issues being brought to light, and for persons to say that it is not necessary to actually fix those systems before we go into another election, I have no confidence in the credibility of elections moving forward as is. And that is as honest as I can possibly get right now. That again, I'm just going to underscore that is my personal view.
yeah, yeah. Mr. Sander, what would be your closing thoughts as people look, as Drita is looking at this electoral system? You see the PPP fighting for this against this review at the GCOM level. They're fighting in the courts. They have their own COI happening. With with these folks, the presidential COI into the March elections. It seems as though what's his name, the AG Nandlal has his own COI happening. You got some court cases to deal with electoral frauds. We got two um, petitions and they're fighting again in the courts. When people look at all of this, Guyanese, what should they come away with?
Well, in the first instance, I think we ought to recognize and accept that there are issues that ought to be addressed as a prerequisite for the holding of any future election. It is beyond a shadow of doubt that the chief immigration officer returned information which suggests that there were people who impersonated others at the last elections. And therefore, that has to be corrected. It can only be corrected systemically. We have to find out what is it in our system that makes that possible. That has to be corrected. Unfortunately, GCOM seems to, and when I say GCOM here, I don't mean the entire collective. The majority seems to want to go down the road to another election without addressing those issues.
And what
I
was
think
done
that
with the
puts
chief
the
immigration
political
officers also
parties
done with the
into
GRO.
a very difficult situation. They are literally between a rock and a hard place. If they contest, they will be given some degree of legitimacy to a broken process. If they don't contest, the People's Progressive Party will then have the means by which they can claim to be in control of all of our democratic organs. And so that's another difficulty that we may be faced with. So the political parties are in a hard, difficult situation. And I think at the end of the day, really what is required is for the citizens not to wait to vote with their feet, so to speak, but to preempt any elections by the kind of action that will force GCOM to do what constitutionally it should be doing, because GCOM is compelled constitutionally to ensure that we have free, fair elections that are compliant with the laws.
Very well. Mr. Alexander, I want to thank you for spending this time with us this morning on such very, very short notice and for elucidating on these issues, very important to Guyanese at home and abroad. Thank you very much, Commissioner Alexander.
Thank you very much.
Great. And I think that is going to do it for us this morning. Jarita, is that it?
I think I'm still, yes.
Yeah. And much needed clarity on GCOM.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Mind-boggling.
I don't feel like I came on this morning feeling like I felt like that the system is broken to a level that is scary, and with what Mr. Alexander just said to us there, I am compelled right now to say that we need to be afraid, to be very afraid of the future and the direction that the PPP is directing us and heading us towards as a people, because that there is nothing acceptable. There is no level of normalcy as to what is going on there at GCOM. This is something GCOM, and Mr. Alexander said something. I'm going to keep stressing it. The people are the main stakeholders when it comes to GCOM and that whole establishment, and that's something that persons need to understand. This is a message that needs to be sent out far and wide, because persons operate as though, they have to be reacting to whatever decision is made by this body. The body makes decision based on how you make representation, based on how we go out and demand that they make decisions. They just don't sit down there, the helm just directing you and you going blindly to doing whatever is it that they say. The system is broken. The system needs to be fixed. This is a scary situation. I have never heard before that bit of information that Mr. Alexander put out there, that they sat down, deliberated, that actually having discussions on a matter, and then the chairs to take up a piece of a paper from her lap that was already typed up and written up, whatever.
Decision already came to.
How do you even comprehend moving forward in a country like that?
Leadership got a fixed problem.
What is it saying to me? It's saying to me that the elections are already decided before we go to the polls, because I can interpret that a whole lot of ways. I can just go with, this is going to be crazy, guys, but I'm saying that I am convinced that we should not be heading to any election with this system. And I know the concerns there by everybody. It's a difficult position. You're between a rock and a hard place, rightly so said by Mr. Alexander, because if you don't contest the election, you give the PPP the opportunity to go out there and to pretend that they have won every single local democratic organ out there. But it is absolutely crazy. It is ridiculous. And I don't know how we're going to digest this one moving forward. But
have a great weekend, folks. On that note, have a fantastic weekend if you can. On that note, we're going to see you guys back here on Monday from FYI. Have a safe, productive weekend. Dream up.